Welcome, guys, to today's lesson. Today we are going to talk about theory, and yeah, I tried to make it simple, but today's lesson we are not going to cover a code or practical examples or demonstration. The reason behind this is I need to argue and explain to you guys why we are going to create the application in this way, and well, depends on the programming language and the paradigms behind that programming language. So let's start with some simple, and it's about these two guys right there. First of all, it's important to know that JavaScript is a functional programming language, but also has something related with object-oriented programming. And what I am talking about, well, make it simple. Let's start with, well, first of all, JavaScript has two different paradigm focus. So starting with that, we are going to talk about the most basic, and maybe the came from the beginning of the programming world, and it's about imperative programming and declarative programming. Maybe to make it simple, imperative programming is based on or matters about the how we made or how we made solutions. For example, if I want to make a sum, number plus another number and a result, the imperative programming matters about the procedure behind that problem. So yeah, this is simple. For example, number plus number. So for imperative programming, this is important. That section is important. It's about, okay, if you want to perform a arithmetic operation like sum, we need to take one number plus other number. But that operation itself is important. So it's something that the programmer should to think about to solve that specific challenge. In the other hand, we have declarative programming. Declarative programming doesn't matter about the procedure. It's only important for it is the result. So that means it don't care, or it doesn't care about, okay, if you want to perform a arithmetic operation like sum, we need to one number plus one other number. Declarative programming is just like, hey, I don't care, I just want to result, and that's it. The declarative programming is just like, hey, I have this number and this other number, and I'm going to pass these two numbers to a function, and I need a result. So it's supposed to, if that function makes an arithmetic operation like sum, okay, I don't care what the function do itself or inside it. I just want to result depending on the result I need. So imperative programming is, okay, I need to take this number and make this operation with this other number, and I'm going to give you the result. Maybe both the procedure and the result are important, but in the declarative programming is like, okay, I don't care the function itself. I just want to have a specific result if I give you this number and this other number. Thanks to that, we receive in the future better programming paradigms based on different needs depending on the historical context. But to make it simple, it's just like, thanks to imperative programming, we have the following ones, but the other one is the orient object programming, and in the other hand, we have the functional programming that is that has a lot of relay with the JavaScript language that we are using to this course. So the reason behind this is just the way we can resolve problems, because once you are inside this programming world, you know that we have a lot of different ways to resolve a problem. And this is important because from the beginning, we are going to follow different structures or different guidelines to develop our application. So maybe my course could be very different than the other guy's course because of that. Because I'm going to create my Express web server maybe using programming, object programming paradigm, and the other guy maybe is using a full declarative programming using full functions and more. In my case, I'm going to use, well, maybe to make it, or to make clear about the OOP implementation, we have the following one. We have object, classes, inherents, polymorphisms. Well, we don't have to take a lot of this because the course are going to take maybe more, or maybe, yeah, we are going to take more about functional than OOP implementation. So, but we are going to use both of them, but we are going to use more functional than imperative, because OOP comes from imperative because matters the procedure than the result. In this case, the result is more important than the procedure. But that doesn't mean that we have all the programming logic already done. No, we have also to create that. We need to create that logic, but the point of my point just right there is functional programming. Try to make simple, just based on the results. So we have that. Maybe OPP is based on object and classes, and the functional. We can also use objects, but the idea of function is used, as its name says, is use function to make some operation. So I'm going to use some ChatGPT prompts to show you some difference depending on the programming language and depending on the paradigm. In this case, for example, I ask for a Java POO. Well, I'm sorry, I wrote this like well, we used to wrote in Spanish is OOP code example. And in this case, we see, well, we have a class, and the class has well, attributes, all these vocabulary related with OOP paradigm. And also we have the class constructor, we have methods, and we have other methods that execute some logic based on our business logic. We have another class, and maybe if you are getting familiar with classes are the same that entities, is the way that maybe to make it simple to programmers to create or try to abstract some things from the reality. We used to use class because it's more simple than just to, I don't know, imagine to create a variable to save the Chryslow's month expense. But also you need to create another variable to I don't know, save the weekly expense and more. Well, it's pretty easier just to create a class, maybe, I don't know, for example, the person itself, like Chryslow, and after that give to the Chryslow's entity I don't know, expense, maybe monthly incomes, and have different methods that allows to remove that that money, give money, and more. So we have different we have the bank system that maybe allows to deposit, withdraw, get the balance, create a savings account, and more. So this is pretty useful for programmers. But after that, we have to translate this, and the machine try to understand what I'm talking about. After that, I make another example using JavaScript, including OOP and functional programming. So this is a pretty interesting hint, because we are going to use both paradigms, because we can. The reason why we can use both of them, because give us different tools that, depending on the scenario, accomplish or make a good duel to composite solutions. So in this case, we have also JavaScript. JavaScript is the other programming language than just Java, and JavaScript has OOP support, so we can create a class maybe with a different syntax, and maybe depending on, I want to show you some difference between the functional programming. For example, this is a functional programming approach that allows to create a variable, but that save a function and an other function itself. And so it's pretty interesting. And well, thanks to this, we are going to cover different aspects, because, for example, we can create as you can see, a saving accounts using a class, but we can create an account object itself using this approach just right there. We can create these methods and maybe just extend the functionality, not only on inside the class, maybe inside this class, just to make or create a different behavior using a functional programming approach. So it's pretty interesting, because we can model different solution based on the programming paradigm. So let's see another one. For example, I ask for another one using imperative paradigm, but without classes, because if we talk about imperative, also we can talk about classes, and if we talk about classes, we are talking about imperative. But we can create imperative programs without classes, because imperative comes first than classes, or POOP. And as you can see, maybe we can create something similar to classes, but is not at all similar. And after that, we can create different functions. We are using C. It's a just full imperative programming language. And as you can see, we have different functions like withdraw, deposit, but it's important all this time receive the params, because when we use the imperative approach, but based on OOP principles, all the time we have access to the variables. For example, the account we always have access to the, for example, account holder name and balance, and thanks to that we can perform different actions. Maybe we can receive extra information, but apply some operations about or on top of the attributes that we already have on the class. So we have a relation, a strict relation with that. But if you see, we've passed to the functional paradigm. Maybe we have some attributes, but the rest of the operation that we are going to handle, we can use, for example, a function. So we are not longer to use the class attributes. On the other hand, we are going to use variables. On the other scenario, we are not going to use classes. So all the time we have to receive all the information, the account, the name. Well, if the name is important, of course, and for example, the initial balance. And if maybe if you want to, I don't know, withdraw some amount, we need to the account, because the account has the balance, and receive the amount that maybe you want to deposit or you want to withdraw. And after that, we access to the balance account. And after that, maybe in this case, we are going to deposit. So we are going to increment the balance depending on the param we pass, and the same logic we withdraw. But if you see, depending in which scenario we are creating the application, we have or follow some guidelines. Maybe at the beginning we are not we are not clear at all. So after that, I also ask for using functional programming, but without classes, using pure or vanilla JavaScript. And as you can see, we have something similar to C, and we have a lot of functions, but we have maybe some functional paradigm approach like this one that we are going to see in the course. And of course, this another one. This is a function that creates an object. And maybe let me see if we have another one. We have this another one is a function that returns the account, but it's maybe something is like to take extra steps, because we have the function and we have the account and we return the balance account. Why not from the beginning just use account balance? Well, this depends on the scenario and the context and maybe the memory reference and more. So maybe these are some doubts that we are going to resolve in the course. And maybe, of course, you can ask for or look for our sites to find the solution. So I think that's all. And maybe I'm going to give you an example. I have this one resource that in this case we are using full. Yeah, this is a Spanish video, but we have a full OOP approach. And as you can see, we can create a route. Remember, the route is, for example, slash user slash, in this case, health check. And thanks to the OOP principles, we can create this one and maybe provide the information maybe the functions or the methods need with with different methods, but not methods like function, with different ways. Maybe in this course I'm thinking about it, because depending on if we want to get this approach, like using full OOP, or use a little more functional than OOP principles. In my case, I'm going to try to take the functional approach, try to make it a full of functions, and let's see what's happened. Because this course is a pretty advanced, it's a course made for me. This is my Spanish channel, so I've been creating a express course in Spanish, of course, but using the OOP approach, and it will be it will be very different than this current course. So yeah, I think it will be interesting to notice or understand the difference between both approach. So I think that's it. I'm sorry if this video was very theory, but I think it's important to understand this, because thanks to this explanation, you are going to understand why I'm going to create this express application in the way I'm going to create. And maybe in the future you are going to notice the difference maybe with other course that maybe follow more OOP principles. And of course, mine course in Spanish, you see, will be pretty different than the current course. So I hope this video was helpful, and see you in the next episode, where we are going to start creating the correctly wrote handler. So I hope this video was helpful, and see you in the next time. Bye bye.